few words, a few thank yous and reflections on pregnancy and the explanation of Bummy's first name before passing it off to David. And for those of you who are in our inner circle, you know that our son's pre-birth name was actually Bummy Ball, named after the beloved king of Thailand, who passed away in the fall during our travels through Southeast Asia. It's another story, kind of a funny story for another time. So thank you all for coming and joining us for our son's first milestone. Kind of wild. 5 specific thank yous. Thank you to my husband David, who's walking somewhere and we'll be back. This is the best gift you could have ever given me. You made me who I was meant to be, a mama. And watching you sing to Bummy and teach him music and chat with him in French at bedtime has made my world even brighter. So really, really good dad already, Mamash, really. I already feel us becoming more of a family, and I'm ready for number 2, whenever you are. Thank you to my family, and specifically I want to thank my mom and my dad and my little sister Jessie, who have been our right hand through the pregnancy and the birth and the now. And I know that our family dynamic is very close, but also very rare, and I'm very grateful for it. Third thank you of 5, almost over with the thank yous. Thank you to our sisters who flew in from abroad. So Tiffy, who flew in from Sweden, and where's Rachel? Rachel and Johnny and Nava and Gabe, who flew in from Seattle. It means the world to us that you've traveled this far to get here. So really thank you for making that effort. Thank you to our kick-ass doula Tali Mansdorf, where I am. Experience. Grounding and guiding and mamash a joy, and she should be like a required part of any birthing process. So we love you. Thank you. And then lastly, I know Rabbi Rabanowitz is on his way up, but thank you to our mole, Rabbi Rabanowitz, and to our friend and caterer, Arhuva Stam, who both of them were able to step in at the very last minute and help us put this together. There you are. Okay.
And dress you.
Yes, also this is this dress.
She stole it and want to give it back. I asked for it 3 months ago.
Okay, so pregnancy. Whoa. Pregnancy and childbirth and all of this, in my mind, can only be described as like a superpower. So imagine that you had a superpower, but you had never experienced it. Like you always knew that you could fly, but had never opened wings, so it seemed more like legend or lore than something that actually was real. And then one day you wake up and you're taking off through the sky, seeing all of Jerusalem from high above, kind of like David's drone. See, give the drone a shout out.
Which is the best present you ever gave me.
Say this today on the day of your son's
And
birth.
you can fly, but maybe without knowing exactly where. Or your superpower is to heal others, but not knowing exactly how it works. And so pregnancy is a superpower. As a biological female, I kind of knew that I could grow and contain life, but it's beyond a mind-blowing concept to actually understand that until one day it activates and you're growing another human being inside of you, even if you have no clue who he will be or how you're doing it, and it's amazing and it's a miracle. And life is full of miracles waiting to unfold if we're willing to take an active part in the process. It's kind of a dance. Tova, hi! A dance between doing our part while also shedding ego and illusions of control, because we don't actually have control. No. We can't make things happen. We just, if we had control, but we don't. And this reminds us that there's times for doing and times for being. And I would say bringing life into the world is the ultimate partnership between doing and being, of creating space for a new life, but relinquishing control over the outcome of what soul will come down, of when he'll arrive, of in what way. That remains totally in the hands of Shemayim. And besides for like the fun part, like conception, there's a lot of tedious doing in pregnancy. So like checkups and monitors and ultrasounds and logistical planning. And perhaps the most magical part of pregnancy is just letting the process and the miracle unfold. So I remember at the start of my second trimester, I began showing, but we hadn't shared news of the pregnancy. And it didn't really matter whether I was ready or not to announce it to the world, because there was this neshama growing inside me who was like, I'm here, tummy is here. And And like pregnancy, also birth. Birth itself requires just being and trust and releasing into the contractions and releasing into your body, but also this sense of doing at the end, through pushing, through bringing the baby into the world. And I began to think just last night, I jotted this down at 3 a.m. in between feedings, that perhaps this process of doing while being and releasing control throughout the pregnancy and birth is a good preparation for parenthood, where, God willing, we'll do our best, but ultimately we're there to guide a whole new human being, and we need to be okay with releasing and just being there as a model of how this person can be without any ability to truly control it. So just the name, Moshe Erez. David, you with me? Okay. David will speak about Bami's middle name and the meaning of the 2 names when paired side by side. And I'll just take a few moments to speak about Bami's first name, which is Moshe. So you should know that I did not choose this name. I never thought of it. It never made it to a short list, and I've never necessarily been enamored with the meaning, but from the moment that he was born and in my arms, I knew that was who he was. There's an idea that parents have nevuah when naming their child, and maybe that's true because I really can't explain it. It's almost as if I didn't decide, but his name was revealed at birth. So again, that element of just like being open to what comes, even if you don't know where it's coming from. And in the Torah, Moshe's very existence and survival speaks to this human-God partnership of doing and being. You have Hashem safeguarded Moshe as he was cast out into the Nile, and perhaps arranged for Batya, Bat Paro, to be there just at the right time. But it was Batya who drew him out from the waters, from which Moshe gets his name, in Hamayim Shitihu, and raised him as her son to become one of the Jewish people's greatest leaders. And
Brilliant.
so though most of you know me as Ayo, my Hebrew name is Batya. And though I won't pressure our little one to become Judaism's next great deliverer and savior, or discourage it, it's my greatest joy to have drawn our child forth from the waters of pregnancy into a world that needs kindness and leadership and redemption. And Moshe was a great leader who led not from his ego or because he sought the mantle, but because the circumstances required it. God required it, and you do what needs to be done to help those around you, to save your people, and to lead them out of slavery. The water. So Moshe is named for my Appa, my father's father, Manfred, or Meir, who also did not seek the limelight, but did what needed to be done to save his people. First, by forging identity papers during World War II as a member of the French underground, and literally marching into a camp in an SS Nazi officer uniform with orders for his family's release. In a Hollywood-esque story that saved their lives, he pretended to be an SS Nazi officer, walked in, demanded with these forged papers, took them out. And then also later doing what needed to be done in a more modest way, working around the clock to support his family and creating a new life for them and for my father in America. Shefa water! Mayim, Shefa! Despite the trauma of war, our Appa always had a twinkle of mischief and joy in his eyes and took great pride in his family. And I bless our Moshe to be the same. And if he's anything like his namesake, my Appa, or like his own father, hi David, take a step in, love, take a step in. We know that his contributions, his kindness, and his dedication to those around him will be quiet and modest, yet truly grand.
Amen.
So last thought.
2 more thoughts. 3 more.
5.
Yeah. So it is much cooler here. So a last thought from, you're gonna love this, Ben. A last thought from Rabbi Nachman. So almost 3 years ago at our wedding, my little sister Jessie quoted Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, "Hayom shebo nuladata hu hayom bo hakadosh baruch hu hichlit she'haolam eno yachol litkayem beladecha." The day that you were born is the day that God decided the world could no longer exist without you. The idea is that God is always deciding where to add a life and which life to add. And the addition of every single person on this earth, including each one of you, is a significant change in the state of the world. So Moshe Erez, though we called you Bamibal when you were in the womb, God decided that the womb was too small a place for you to stay, and the world could no longer exist without you and your destiny. Today we celebrate the gift of your life and the addition of your presence to the Jewish people with a new and Jewish name. Moshe Erez, our son, your father and I are honored to have been chosen as your parents. You have already made an immense change in our world, and we bless you to grow into who you are, to give what you have to give, and to receive even a taste of the joy that you have already given your mommy and daddy. We love you so much.
So I have a couple of words to add to that. She told you about the whole Bummy-Ball thing. And King Bummy-Ball was the king of Thailand. And he died at the same time that we conceived him. Ao came to me and said, I think I'm pregnant. And we're in Thailand, and the king, who was the longest reigning monarch, 68 years he was king, had died at the same time. And people were like crying in the street, spontaneously bursting into tears. And I told her, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we named the kid after King Bummyball, because then his name would be like Bummyball Abbott Ball, and all the kids in school would love him. So it's an interesting juxtaposition between Bummyball and Moshe. Moshe did not want to be the leader of the Jews. Bummyball was part of a royal family. The reality of King Bummyball's reign is that for the last 15 years, he was actually really sick and wasn't doing much in terms of being a king. It was just that he was so beloved that he really kept the country together, but he didn't do much. He was almost like a quasi-godly figure, and just his existence. Come on. Oh. Whereas Moshe had to do a lot. In Thailand, if you insult the king, you could go to jail. Whereas Moshe was given leadership over a group of people that did nothing but kvetch and complain and whine about every little thing, which we saw in the Parshat HaShavua.
That's us. Woo.
Yes, we're a bunch of whiny complainers.
Go team.
So what we see are two different models of leadership. And, you know, while Thailand is a very well-run country and whatnot, it doesn't compare to the Jewish people. No offense. And Moshe's model of leadership is the model of leadership that we really need to pursue. Leaders who are uninterested in power. Leaders who are held to an incredible standard of responsibility, which we saw again in this Parshat HaShavua. God said, just talk to the rock. Moshe struck the rock. Small little discrepancy, and for that, that's it. Moshe doesn't come to Israel. No more. And he's kind of like a little bit of a tikkun. Moshe never made it to Israel, but now Moshe is in Israel.
I love that.
We're all good. Erez is the cedar, the cedars of Lebanon, you know, which play a big role in all the in the Beit HaMikdash. And in this Parshat HaShavua, it started with the paraduma, and like how to prepare the paraduma, how to the red cow, how to make the ashes, how to and part of it involves burning the cow, obviously, and throwing cedar wood on the cow in order to make it usable. And what they said at the end of this all is Vayta lahem lechukat olam, and this shall be for them a law for all time. It's pretty crazy. It means like no matter what, no matter where, we will always have to find that paraduma. We will always have to do these rituals in our Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem. And like, you know, I always like to think about like my great grandfather guy who lived in Morocco somewhere, reading this, and he was probably thinking like, I don't know that we'll ever get back to Jerusalem, and yet here we are, and here we are. We're bringing new life. We're living here. We're living 10 minutes away, a 15-minute walk from the Kotel, 10 minutes by drone. And we're so thankful that you could join us here today. And now you know the whole story of how Moshe Erez came to be.
Amen.
That's it. So keep eating, guys. There's food. Yeah, I feel like if people are being shy.
Mazel tov,